policy or procedure. We need to talk. Everyone has a need to feel that one's thoughts, feelings, and ideas matter. Perhaps your company is built upon the precepts of respect and inclusivity. Most companies nowadays are. But you as well as I know that it is that old question of subjectivity. Perception, as you know, is important as the reality. So what is the reality? As mentioned earlier, one of my objectives is to create awareness around Aboriginal employment issues. When employers want cultural awareness, they usually want it to be practical. One of the most practical things I can say about our history is that when it comes to employment, historically, we have not had a very long-standing employment relationship with each other. This is a practical piece of information because it has affected how Aboriginal people approach you as an employer, and even whether or not we will approach you in the first place. In this instance, you may wish to consider the degree of success in your recruitment efforts. For example, if the status quo has been that you have not hired many of us, and we do not see many of our own faces in your organization, we imagine that the status quo has not changed. So we do not apply. The same history also affects how we approach our workforce participation, because if we are hired, we are not likely to be rocking the boat by communicating our feelings when things are less than comfortable. If Aboriginal people do apply and do start to work for you, but still see few of our own faces in your organization, then we imagine that our participation is unique. We experience no feeling of community in your organization. Sometimes people come up and introduce themselves and welcome us into the fold. Sometimes they do not. Or sometimes they say things like, "Oh yeah, you're that person they hired under that special native thing." As I said, it would be so easier, much easier if a person just said, "I hate you because you're an Indian." So now we start to think, so I didn't earn this job. I got it because of special hiring measures. And we start to feel even more alienated because not only do we have no other members from our own community with whom to confer and relate, but we also feel alienated from the mainstream group, who presumably got their job because of merit and not because of special programming. Suddenly, it does not seem all that relationship friendly, but neither can it truly be described as racist, nor can it be exactly described as harassing. This leads us back to policy and strategy. If a company has them, all employees will understand why special measures are being taken. It is because of the long-standing history of the status quo of underrepresentation. Part of the strategy will institute Aboriginal awareness programs. This way, people will understand and hopefully be sensitive to the issues faced by Aboriginal people in the workforce. Strategies also include things like orientation programs, summer employment programs, mentoring and job shadowing, and above all, they are measured at the end of the year for effectiveness. They are improved and renegotiated until the desired vision is attained. What do we want? Ask us to participate, invite us to the table of communication. We do have ideas, and open communication will also assist in addressing those underlying implications of racism. But first we need to feel invited to your employment table to begin with. In order for either one of these things to happen, you need to get to know us. In other words, have a relationship with us. Is this too touchy-feely sounding? Well then, make it as practical as possible. Formal agreements or formal policies are what allows you to have formal methods of communication. Mentoring, job shadowing, buddy system, coaching are all about communicating. The process of discussion and communication is inherent to their success. What, for example, is the point of having a buddy who won't talk, or even worse, won't listen? And for those of you who enjoy a slightly more social approach to discussion and problem solving, consider a weekly or monthly coffee clutch, or hold talking circles where you conduct sessions around review and preview, i.e. this is what has happened and this is what is about to happen next. And remember, whatever benefit is enjoyed by the Aboriginal employee is likely to be enjoyed by every employee in your organization, thus contributing to the health and well-being of your organization overall. We need to communicate. And at the basis of all of this, we need to understand what the issues are, and we need to strategize together. You have human resource partners and possibly union members here today who are willing to describe, discuss, and strategize. And most importantly, you have Aboriginal people here today, potential employees who have ideas and can offer value to a diversified workplace. But Aboriginal people need to know that you want us here. This has not been our history. This has not been the status quo. Aboriginal people also need to know that we are more than the product of a special hiring measure. The first thing that you can do to establish a relationship is to take the time to get to know us and let us get to know you, which is why it is so great that you're all here today. Relationship is everything. If you need an agreement to formalize it, work together and find ways to share ideas around process and strategies, document them and measure them. The bottom line to measurement is simple. How many Aboriginal people continue to work in your organization? One of the things I hear from employers is a statement, why should we do all the work? Everyone else likes to work here and has no problem. Shouldn't you people start learning too? And just a note on that, we're not you people, you're you people. These employers are right. Education has to happen on both sides. You have to learn about us. And there are things that we need to learn about you too. But we cannot learn about you if you don't know anything about us or about your organization. And if you think about the status quo, how could we? At the risk of sounding too touchy-feely, we need to share. It is the basis of being and staying connected. It is called relationship. And like any good relationship, it starts with communication. This requires listening on both our parts. And speaking of good listeners, I would like to thank you all here today and once again say miigwech to our ancestors. May I take the time to remind all my relatives out there today, our ancestors are always here not only to listen, but to guide and protect us, and forever keep us in their loving care. They're just waiting for you to ask. Their tradition of place and community connection enhances our lives. It does not mean that we need to be fixed in some kind of historical time warp, rather that we can each bring a sense of belonging, contribution, and relevance to a world searching for those same things, and this includes our world of work. It is about relationship and about connection. It is about walking and talking in a good way in our shared environment, in a way that will not only make our ancestors proud, but those 7 generations forward proud too. To where are we carrying our children if it is not to a place we ourselves are not meant to be? We are all meant to be in a place that honors the teachings of our ancestors and continues to make them proud. Our ancestors remind us that we are in a world of connection and relationship. This relationship is about honoring the connection of past teachings, present engagement, and future vision for an environment of shared community spirit. And it can start in the workplace because environment is everywhere. As stewards of the environment, we, as Aboriginal people, can play a significant role in leadership toward the enrichment of environment workplace. Why? Because that's who we are. We are also all about relationship. With each other's help, in the original instructions of our ancestors and the motivations of our children, I do believe we can all be everything we were intended to be. We can do it together. Let's get connected. And let's stay connected. Miigwech.